All right, you can begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. Everyone can hear me clearly?
Yes, we heard you.
Today, our presentation will be interacting in teams and groups taken from the textbook Exploring Leadership, the second edition, chapter 7. The presenters today will be myself and Robert Solomon. The agenda for today's presentation will be the introduction, understanding groups, group development, the relational leadership model, dynamics in groups, creative conflict, group decision making, teamwork, the chapter summary, and what will be next after this chapter. Introduction. This chapter explores the characteristics of groups, the way groups develop, and the dynamics among group members in order to emphasize how leadership in groups is process-oriented. The group chapter presents concepts of teamwork and collaboration in group work and applications of the relational leadership model. Understanding groups. Before I begin, I would like to know, why would people want to join groups?
I would think for safety, security.
A sense of belonging, I think, a sense of belonging to be part of.
Yeah, good, yeah.
To accomplish a specific task.
I didn't hear what to say.
To complete a specific task.
Yeah, correct.
For a shared purpose, Martin?
A shared purpose, yes. I have one.
The social standing.
Okay, thanks, Derek.
When given an instruction.
Yeah. And I have one here too also. Sometimes people join groups because it might help them to attain personal goals that they cannot attain by themselves. So in our everyday life, we come across many groups. For example, structured or informal groups. Like for instance, our class groups that we have formed from since the beginning to now. However, in this presentation, we will be looking at groups from a different perspective. So, what is a group? A group is 3 or more people interacting and communicating interpersonally over time in order to reach a goal. There are many different dimensions to how groups are structured, and each has implications for the leadership dynamics in that group. 3 key dimensions that help us understand different types of groups are purpose, structure, and time. These dimensions will determine the types of leadership that will be used. To better understand these dimensions, let's take a look at what they mean. Here we have purpose. The reason for which a group is created or exists. So different groups are formed for different reasons. For example, a task group in an organization or a sports group. They also determine the structures and processes required so that members can accomplish their purpose. Structure relates to the mechanisms for how the people in the group relate to each other. They may be formal or informal. Leadership role may vary depending on the structure. For example, some groups doesn't always have a leader, or some are highly structured with a leader. Time. This relates to how long a group may exist. Group exists for varying amounts of time needed to accomplish their task or goal. Groups may be time limited, meaning that groups that meet for a specified number of sessions, whether they meeting on a daily basis, weekly or monthly, or if they meeting for an hour or 2 hours. Groups may also be ongoing. This refers to groups which continue to exist for a long period of time. So taking these dimensions into account, we will now move on to group development. As a group or organization forms, it goes through certain predictable stages, progressing from a collection of individuals to a cohesive group working for a common cause. And Tuckman stages of group development. According to psychologist Bruce Tuckman, he developed the theory of 5 stages to group development in 1965. His model explains how a group's maturity and ability developed and establish relationships as leadership styles changes. Tuckman's model gives an understanding of how groups develop So the 5 stages we have is forming, storming, norming, performing, and in 1977 he added the 5th one, adjoining. Let us now look at this video which explains the 5 stages of group development.
Have you ever wondered how a team comes together? For most teams, they don't just happen. Today, we're going to learn about the 5-stage model of team building and the role of time in how teams are formed. The 5-stage model is the classic model of team building, and as the name suggests, includes 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. In the forming stage, team members may experience a great deal of stress and anxiety due to uncertainty about the other team members and their roles. First interactions can be cautious and tentative as team members feel each other out. In this stage, a charter can be helpful to establish ground rules and clarify the mission. A charter is simply a formal agreement that explicitly states the team's overall purpose and lays out the expectations and behaviors for each team member. It can be helpful in establishing rules for things like required attendance at meetings. Charters can reduce misunderstandings and serve as a regulatory device, because any team member that violates the agreed upon norms can be reminded of the group's commitments. As the team interacts and begins work, the 2nd stage, storming, begins. In this stage, conflicts often emerge about the goals and contributions of team members. There may also be challenges to the leader of the group. In this stage, leaders should openly address conflict and emphasize the team's purpose and ground rules as established in the charter. At the end of this stage, the question of who will lead the team is resolved, and a team hierarchy or pecking order may have been established. However, severe enough disagreements during the storming phase can sometimes result in abandonment by individual team members or dissolution of the team altogether. Assuming the team does not dissolve during storming, the team building process then moves into the third stage called norming. In this stage, the team members form close relationships and a cohesive unit develops. Norms or unwritten rules for what is acceptable also take shape during this stage. For example, a team member that is regularly absent from meetings without any consequences may result in other members believing that such behavior is acceptable as well. Leaders should address any such problems directly and constructively, reminding members of the ground rules that they agreed to. Once team norms are established, the team should enter the fourth stage, performing. This phase is simply when the team begins focusing less on building relationships and more on actually achieving their team goals. For permanent teams that do not adjourn, such as work groups, this is the last phase in team building. Team members should make a point to celebrate successes and achievements along the way to achieving the team's overall goals. For teams that are temporary or have just one or two specific goals to accomplish, the fifth and final stage, adjourning, occurs. In the adjourning phase, the team finalizes their work and disbands. In this phase, it is recommended that team leaders arrange a celebration to reward members for having achieved their overall purpose. While the five-stage team-building model suggests that teams flow smoothly through the phases, this is not always the case. Conflict and unresolved violations of norms can often run the risk of having the team adjourn at any stage in the process. Also, teams that have a clear deadline, such as student project groups, do not follow the typical stages of development. Instead, they experience a process that is called punctuated equilibrium. This simply means that the team is initially active while goals are being discussed, and then very little work takes place until about halfway through the time period, when a flurry of activity occurs and team members scramble to reach their goals on time. This can be avoided if a team leader sets early benchmarks to avoid having to rush at the end of the project. To recap, the five-stage team-building model includes forming, storming, norming, performing, and sometimes adjourning. Successfully navigating these stages can result in high-performance teams that are united in meeting their goals.
I'm sure some of us could relate to these
Reacted using Powtoon.
how much times you feel like it has been stuck in the storming stage throughout the groups. All right, so moving on. As we explore the developmental stages, we will now move on to the relational leadership model and stages of group development. A relational process of people together attempting to accomplish change or making a difference to benefit the common good. This philosophy values being ethical and inclusive with holistic thoughts. Here we have the relational leadership model, the table. The table shows the developmental stages and the philosophy which should encourage good teamwork. So we have the 5 stages of development and the relational leadership philosophy. So for forming, be inclusive and empowering, make sure all the shareholders and stakeholders are involved. Storming creates a climate in which each person matters and build commitment to the group as a community of practice. Be ethical and open. You want to be patient to give divergent views a full hearing. Norming. Be fair with processes. Practice collaboration. Keep new members welcome. informed and involved. Performing. Celebrate accomplishments and find renewal in relationships. Empower members to learn new skills and share roles in new ways to stay fresh. Revisit purposes and rebuild commitment. Adjourning. Recognize, appreciate, and celebrate achievements. Dynamics in groups. For us to understand the dynamics in groups, we need to first understand the role group members play in their groups, their norms, their creative conflict, and how group members make decisions. So groups engage in various processes that are often called group dynamics. Group dynamics is the study of groups' life. It's by Johnson and Johnson. Group dynamics include such processes as to how the group make decisions, how the group handles its conflicts, and how the group meets its leadership needs. Group roles. One of the foundations for understanding group dynamics is to recognize that in any interactive setting, individuals engage in communication patterns that may signal roles they are adapting in the group. Groups depend on two kinds of groups: group building roles and task roles. Participants who engage in both kinds of roles are absolutely essential to effective group dynamics. Group building roles. Actions that focus on the group as people, including the relationship among others. Also called maintenance roles. Group building roles attend to the processes of the group. Task roles. These focuses on accomplishing the purpose of the group. For example, giving information and opinions and moving the group along on task by summarizing and by using various decision-making strategies. Task-oriented. Task roles focus on the content of the group's discussions. Here we have some common roles that can be seen in groups. We have the information seeker, the opinion seeker, the clarifier, the follower, the mediator, and the gatekeeper. And the description for these are the information seeker. This person prefers to make inquiries before deciding to move on from something. The opinion seeker, this person pushes the group members to share their insights or ideas. The clarifier clarifies any points that are not clear or appear disjointed and ensures all participants understand the ideas expressed by other group members. The mediator does their work to the best of their ability and are focused on successfully completing the current project. And the gatekeeper prefers to resolve conflicts and opposing points of view in a clearer way. Group members who attempt to maintain proper communicative balance. That is gatekeeper. Sorry. Dysfunctional roles. Dysfunctional roles can be used to classify individuals who willfully hinder the process of a group. On occasions, group members may demonstrate some individual dysfunctional roles, such as a special interest pleader and a blocker. The special interest pleader, this is someone who may continuously push their point even if the group has already moved on. The blocker opposes every idea or opinion that is put forward, and yet he refuses to make their own assumptions. The result is that the group stalls because it can't get past the resistance from this individual or individuals. Moving on to group norms. Group norms are the informal guidelines of behavior and a code of conduct that provides some order and conformity to group activities and operations. These rules are expected to be followed by all the group members. These norms and rules usually develop gradually and informally as group members learn what behaviors are necessary for the group to function effectively. For example, these norms may include, for instance, a dress code for meetings or the presentations. Some groups might come up with a particular dress code. Everybody might be in the same, if it's shirt and tie, if it's polos, or just being on time for the meeting. Two norms used by groups, and it was also mentioned in the chapter, are Robert's Rules of Order and cultural practices. So Robert's Rules of Order, it was a book published in February of 1876 by a US Army Major, Henry Roberts. It provided rules that govern key matters of meetings and general procedures, including the meeting agendas, having voting rights, and motions. Cultural practices. Cultural practices, well, it speaks about habits in the group, such as arranging the chairs. Some groups, you might go to a group meeting and they might want the chairs in a circle. They might want to start the meeting with an introduction. They might want to introduce new members to the group and any guests that they have, or they might congratulate group members on their accomplishments. Creative conflict. Creative conflict can boost the creativity in a group by encouraging members to invent innovative solutions. Throughout the group's developmental stages, conflict can occur with the storming stages process, because this is where the members are discussing ideas and trying to agree on what is needed to accomplish their goal. And here we have a little definition. It says conflict is defined as a clash between individuals arising out of a difference in thought process, attitudes, understanding, interests, requirements, and even sometimes perceptions. A conflict results in heated arguments, physical abuse, and loss of peace and harmony. Causes of conflict. You have clashes in personality. This occurs when two or more people find themselves in conflict, not over a particular issue or incident. but due to fundamentals, incompatibility in their personalities. To me, you will find that in all groups that you go in. Role conflict. Role conflict occurs when there are incompatible demands placed upon a person relating to their job or position. And controversy refers to differences in ideas or opinions. Here we have some advantages and liabilities of conflict. The advantages of conflict: it clarifies issues and positions, can build internal cohesiveness and esprit de corps, can lead to innovation and creativity, may be a means of dealing with internal conflict, can increase self-awareness. And the liabilities to conflict now: it can distract from goal achievement, can cause distortions of reality, often becomes a negatively reinforcing cycle, tends to escalate more serious with internal conflicts, and to proliferate more issues. Efforts to resolve are often not reciprocated. Conflict resolution. How are conflicts resolved within groups? Anybody willing to add to this question?
I'll say, firstly, group members need to have an open mind and be willing to listen.
In order to avoid conflict.
Or I could add to that, as well as come to one common understanding, of the goal. And I guess once everybody understands what the goal is, the conflict should be less.
True.
Yeah, Martin. Based on the earlier presentation, we talk about Kidla, right versus right. For me, I think conflict resolve by just having an awareness of your own personal biases
True.
and your own stereotypes. And I think putting everything on the table, we should be able to resolve conflict.
Right. Nice, great. Conflicts are resolved with three possible outcomes. You have the win-win, where everyone benefits from the resolution. You have both sides are heard and are satisfied with the resolution of their differences. You have the win-lose, where only one side benefits from the resolution. One side, they uses power strategies to win by out-talking or putting down or rushing to a premature vote. But in the process, it must have a loser. A loser is created. And the lose-lose, no one benefits from the resolution. This is where both sides uses power strategies and they get so entrenched, rigid, or hurtful that no effective resolution is reached, even if the groups compromise. They just end up in a lose-lose. Group decision making. Who makes all the decision in groups? In most groups, the positional leader is responsible for making some, if not all, the decision. In instances where a group meeting isn't able to be held, or the leader is representing the group, they need to be able to make the best possible decision that benefits the group. One tool that can be used to ensure this is the relational leadership model. So using the relational leadership model, a leader should ask themselves these questions. Does this decision support our vision and mission? This is purposeful. What opinions do my group members have about this issue? Will this decision heighten our involvement or limit involvement? Is this the right thing to do? Is it principled, meaning ethical? Should I slow down making this decision so that others can get involved? Process-oriented. Moving on, participative leadership. This refers to the process of allowing others' opinion to be included in the decision-making process to ensure that you have the best result is accomplished. This type of leadership theory, it enforces the idea that better decisions are being made when other perspectives are included and it is more likely to be accepted. Decision-making procedures. Gary Hewlett, 1989, identifies a continuum of 4 possible decision-making procedures. They range in the amount of influence others have on the decisions from no influence, in which an autocratic decision is made, to high influence of others in the processes in which complete delegation has occurred. These 4 possible decision-making procedures are autocratic. This is when the positional leader is responsible for making all decisions. Consultation. The positional leader asks other members in the group for their opinions and ideas before making a decision. Joint decision. Leaders and members together have a discussion to talk about the best possible outcome. And delegation. The leader gives an individual or the group the authority and responsibility for making a decision. I will now hand you over to Robert Solomon, who will continue with the presentation.
So, guys, teamwork. What is teamwork? Can anyone in this class give a definition for teamwork right off the back of your minds? If you could say, what is teamwork in your view? Anyone?
I would say teamwork is a group of people coming together to achieve one common goal.
You are correct. So, next time. Teamwork. The process of working collaboratively with a group of people in order to achieve a goal. So teamwork in essence is exactly what is written there. So for a team to work and be efficient and effective, they have to actually work in unison. They're supposed to have a synergy within the group. Next. There's a difference. There's a difference between a team and a group. Groups are collective of mutually independent individuals with separate goals who are brought together by common interests and experiences. And a team is more but in the interdependent group of individuals who share responsibility and are focused on a common goal. I would now play this short video to give you some insight on teams and groups.
Have you ever wondered if you're leading a team or a group? To lead effectively, it is important we recognize whether we are leading a team or a group. The difference is subtle but important. We don't coach a baseball group or lead a focus team. We coach a baseball team and lead a focus group. Let's understand the difference. In this short video, we will compare and contrast teams and groups by looking at their definitions and characteristics. A team is a unit of 2 or more people who interact regularly and coordinate their work to accomplish a shared goal or purpose. The 3 key components being that teams are made up of 2 or more individuals. The individuals in teams work together regularly and they share a goal. A group is comprised of 3 or more people who recognize themselves as a distinct unit or department, but who work independently of each other to achieve their organizational goals. Let's note that groups are made up of 3 or more individuals that work independently of one another toward their organization's goals. Let's delve a little deeper and contrast the characteristics of teams and groups. Teams share or rotate leadership roles, whereas a group has a designated strong leader. Teams possess accountability mutually as a team and as individuals. Individuals and groups generally only feel accountable for their independent work within the group. This may be due to the fact that when performance goals are set, teams set their goals themselves, whereas performance goals for groups are often set by others. Teams typically have a very specific vision or purpose, whereas the purpose of a group tends to be that of the organization. Teams work beyond organizational boundaries, and groups work within them. Teams thrive in providing open-ended discussion, active problem solving, and mutual feedback, whereas groups thrive with meetings and delegation. The next time you're leading 2 or more people, ask yourself, am I leading a group or a team? Remember these subtle differences that will make a big difference in your impact as a manager or leader. Have fun.
All right, guys. So essentially, in our group, even though everyone in the group shares information and resources with the other group member, each member is responsible for their own work. Whereas in a team, they work together so that they could maximize each other's strengths and minimize their weaknesses. Do you think that that is the essence of what a group and team? Well, the difference between a group and team? Anyone?
Yes, hello. Afternoon.
Yeah.
I think the explanation in the video was very concise and clear. A clear differentiation. Appreciated the video. Thanks.
Very well. Next slide, Martin. So to expound on the video itself, this was taken from the text located on page
Page 235.
237. So it's working groups versus teams. So in the group, as the video stated, is for the group, you would have a strong, clearly focused leader that would be appointed. Whereas in a team, the responsibilities of leadership are shared amongst the members. The general organization mission is the group's purpose, whereas in a team, a specific well-defined purpose that is unique to the team, meaning they have a specific goal to achieve, basically, not the whole organizational mission. The individual work provides the only products, whereas the team and individual work develop products. Effectiveness is measured indirectly by the group's influence on others. Example, financial performance of business, student scores on standardized examinations, individualized. Whereas in the team, effectiveness is measured directly by assessing teamwork products. As in the group, individual accountability only is evident, and in team, both team and individual accountability are evident. Individual accomplishments are recognized and rewarded. Team celebration, individual efforts that contribute to team success are also recognized and celebrated. Meetings are efficiently run and last for short periods of time, whereas in a team, meetings have open-ended discussions and include active problem solving. The group's meeting, members discuss, decide, and delegate. As in a team, the meetings, members discuss, decide, and also do real work together. Next slide. So there are different types of teams, and Parker's definition defines a team as a group of people with a high degree of interdependence geared towards the achievement of a goal or the completion of a task. So a functional team resembles the hierarchical organizations in which power and authority are contained at the top. Self-directed team, typically a group whose members possess all the technical knowledge and skills to accomplish a task or goal with a certain degree of power delegated to it from a leader or manager. Cross-functional team, composed of individuals from a variety of skill sets, departments or areas that combine skill sets that no one person possesses. So out of these three types of teams, can anybody recognize or state of which team they might have been part of over their time being on their job or being or from experience in some other place? Anyone?
Yeah, well, the cross-functional team, I would definitely be basically exposed to or being a part of, especially in my department, in training department, in Coast Guard, where we are placed together as a team and we train over a period of time, but each individual have a particular skill set. For example, there would be PTIs, there would be medics, there would be communication officers, there will be armorers. That's just to name a few that they actually come, with a certain specific skill set, but we all function together as a team.
Yes, to achieve the mission, which is at the end producing the recruits at a certain standard.
Yes,
Basically.
yes, correct, is right.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Next slide. There's this SMART rubric that would teams would use to have clear, well, they must have clear goals to achieve success. Often, teams either do not take the time to formulate goals or set goals that are unclear and unattainable. The SMART rubric provides a framework for teams to use as they establish their goals. Parker, 2003. So, first one, specific. The goal must be clear to everyone. 2, measurable. It must be quantifiable. 3, attainable. The goal must be realistic and possible to achieve. 4, it must be relevant. The goal is in alignment with the direction of the organization and its overall strategy. 5, time bound. There is a set time frame by which the goal will be achieved, either in a semester or a year. So it must have certain things to, once you follow this SMART rubric, it will allow you to achieve success by having a clear goal set out. Next. Team learning. The collaborative effort to achieve a common goal within a group. The aim of team learning is to attain the objective through dialogue and discussion, conflicts, and defensive routines, and practicing within the groups. So the conventional style of learning for like a college student would be an individual type, meaning you read a book, you do your exams, you have to write your program, which is just you alone going along your journey. However, when you come within a team, you have to learn to collaborate, to discuss, to build a certain synergy within to achieve certain things, and that could only come from, as I say, a routine and practicing. Next. Team learning. It includes accumulating the learning preference of most members. For example, a scientific research group in which everyone prefers facts and details, or a friendship group in which most are flexible and casual. However, intentional team learning requires intentional practices. As stated before, you have to continue going along with the dialogue and talking to each other, reflecting and on shared experiences to build that bond and learn how other people operate within the team. Next. Leadership implications. In a productive work community, leaders are not commanders and controllers, bosses and big shots. They are servers and supporters, partners and providers. Can anyone, go back, Martin, can anyone break down this statement in layman's terms? Jason, Dova?
Yeah, Robert. Okay, so all right, so as the statement says, productive community leaders are not commanders. All right. Yeah, so this says to me that a true leader is one that doesn't assert himself over the other members of the group as, you know, some domineering person, you know, that just calling shots, pointing fingers, you know, giving orders, giving directions, that kind of thing, right? You know, this is telling me that, you know, a true leader is one that, well, as it says, there are servers and supporters, partners and providers, right? So it speaks more to participative leadership, you know, getting involved with with your fellow group members and getting your hands dirty with them in the trenches.
Very much so, Dova. Very much so.
Yeah, so Solomon, if I may add a
Yeah.
little 10 to do it. Yeah,
Yeah, Anton.
yeah, when I read it here, it takes me back to the relational leadership model. It talks about a supervisor that you focus on building relationships with your subordinates. All right. So when I read it, that came to me that being a supervisor or being a middle manager is not about giving commands only. That's part of your function. But the true essence of being a leader is building that relationship with your subordinates. That's what I get from the little code journey.
Right. So from the text, leaders in teamwork settings are also facilitators of team learning. So they provide things for the team to actually learn and come together. So in that essence, the server and supporter role. Next slide. Team leadership. There are two critical functions of team leadership. Team performance, which refers to accomplishing the group's goals and plans, making decisions and solving problems. 2, team development, establishing effective relationships, creating an environment in which individuals feel valued, and facilitating cohesion within the team. So this here speaks for itself. Next. Characteristics of team leadership. Several researchers and scholars on team leadership have found the following characteristics of team leadership. Hill, 2004. 1. Establish clear goals. Have a results-driven structure. Competent team members. Unified commitment. Collaborative climate. Standards of excellence. Principled leadership. And external support. So clear goals. The group would believe that the goals is worthwhile and it is clear enough to tell them when objectives have been met. A results-driven structure, the group's purpose needs to drive the structure of the team. Competent team members, meaning the group members must possess the appropriate technical knowledge and interpersonal skills to work as a team. Unified commitment speaks to the group sense of identity and level of team spirit that has been intentionally facilitated and developed. Collaborative climate. The individuals that contribute collectively to the success of the project, and individual accomplishments are integrated into the whole team's efforts. 6, standards of excellence. They are established and clearly understood by the team with the emphasis on everyone performing at the highest levels. Principled leadership. The leader establishes priorities and helps team members stay focused on the goals sustains collaborative environments for the team, and manages performance. External support, where the team would be provided with resources, for example, money, equipment, supplies, that will be able for them to accomplish their goals, and is given recognition for their success also. Next slide. Establishing teams. It is important to establish a team at the beginning before initiating the work to be accomplished. Based on research findings from effective teamwork, Hughes, Innett, and Coffey, 1993, provide 4 design components needed to establish teams. 1. The task structure. This speaks that the team understands the task and finds meaning in it. The team is given autonomy to accomplish the task. 2. Group boundaries. The size of the team is just right, not too big, not too small. Diversity exists within the team, and the team has sufficient knowledge, information, and interpersonal skills to accomplish the goals harmoniously. 3. Norms. The team has a set of norms to guide the behaviors of the team members. 4. Authority. There's a flexible rather than rigid use of authority by the leader and team members that allows for open debate and instills a sense of empowerment and trust, as well as a degree of command when compliance by group members is warranted. These 4 conditions are important at the beginning stages of team development, as they allow the team to work effectively and efficiently. Next. So the chapter summary. Looking back, groups are the building blocks of communities of practice. We function in many kinds of groups that are at different stages of development. This chapter presented group development models and principles of group dynamics, including aspects of decision-making, conflict resolution, and team learning that inform group practices. It is important to note the difference between groups and teams and the intentional process of developing working groups into effective teams. Are there any questions, comments, feedback?
Okay, if there are no questions or comments, let me just stop the recording.